Hi everyone, and welcome to the second day of taking care of your sourdough starter. And if you remember from yesterday, I have two jars set up. I have one with unbleached all-purpose flour, and then the other one I have a white whole wheat flour. And as a reminder, you still want to make sure that you are keeping it in a warm place, somewhere between 68 and 70 degrees. You may see no activity at all in your jars, and that is totally fine after 24 hours, or you may start to see some growth and maybe a little bit of bubbling. I do have some bubbles here in my whole wheat, and then I have a few smaller bubbles in my all-purpose. But again, if you don't see any change, that's totally okay. What I also want you to do is when you open it up, just take a smell. And you'll see right now it just really still smells like flour and water mixed together. We should start to see that change more starting on day 3, when we'll start to smell more of a fruitier smell or a yeasty smell. So before we begin to feed our starter, we actually have to discard some of it. And we're going to take out 4 ounces, which is roughly a half a cup. And first what you want to do is open up your starter. And you can actually see there's some condensation on the lids of mine. And we're going to take out approximately 4 ounces, like I said. So go ahead and stir it around first. And we'll start to get a little bit out. Okay, that's about exactly 4 ounces. And so you can see this is about how much I have left in my jar. I have gone ahead and discarded approximately half a cup from my all-purpose jar as well. So why do we need to discard half the starter? Well, if you don't, by the time you reach the 3rd, 4th, 5th day, your starter will now have overtaken your container and you will end up with way too much. Okay, we also want to make sure that when we take half out and we feed our yeast, they're not having to fight with each other in order to get the food out of the flour. So at this point, you can go ahead and donate this to a friend so that way they can start their own starter. And after about 5 to 7 days, you'll be able to use the discards to make recipes like sourdough waffles or pretzels. And in fact, King Arthur Flour has tons of recipes that use discards of sourdough starter. Even if you used a whole grain flour to begin, at this point you're going to switch over to feeding it with all-purpose flour. And just like we did on the first day, we're going to feed our starters approximately 4 ounces of flour, which is a scant 1 cup, and 4 ounces of water, which is half a cup of water. I've already weighed out my flour and water, so I'm going to go ahead and add that into my jars. Again, you can stir it with a whisk, a big spoon, anything that works for you. I have fed both of my jars of starters, and just like we did yesterday, you want to make sure when you're adding the flour that you continue to stir it until you don't see any dry patches of flour. I've put the lids back on, again, not tightening them, and I'm going to go ahead and keep it in a warm place until about this time tomorrow. Join me tomorrow as we feed our yeast for day 3, and we'll see if any more activity has started.